the Downing family had come from England, the key sort of patriarch of that family being Thomas Downing Sr. They added a second floor in 1902. The family continued to live in the house until 1969.
Yes. It's the atmosphere in here is really heavy, and anxious. Yeah, I feel I need to step out and get some air.
It is a very layered history that belongs to this house. And there are people who are obviously very interested in what kind of paranormal activity there is in the space. There was a game played in Beachville, just north of the village actually, in 1838. It was dated to June 4th, 1838, and that game was documented by a gentleman by the name of Dr. Adam Enoch Ford. And Ford wrote an article in Sporting Life magazine about this game, the players, where it took place, the rules that guided the game. And so that has since been designated as the first recorded baseball game in North America. So that's a pretty special event for us to commemorate. So we do have a number of artifacts that connect to baseball heritage in Oxford County and that also relate to that first game. So every year we host an event where we do baseball reenactments. We convey the story of that first game as documented by Dr. Adam Enoch Ford, and we celebrate the growth of baseball since that time. Beachville and Zora Township have both been inducted into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. That occurred on the 150th anniversary of the first recorded game, so we continue to take part in that, and we also have a plaque on site that designates Beachville as the location of the first game as well.
As I entered into this room, up ahead of me, I sensed the tall, slender, very tall, I was surprised, slender guy, maybe 30-ish, 32. He's with blonde hair, and the name was, he was Dutch. It was a Dutch name, but Johansson, he sure seemed Dutch. He had an accent, but it's connected to the guy that was in the car with me this afternoon, explaining how he's connected with the baseball and the coach. He's a coach, and he has an endearment to a few of the team. And he mentioned to Stephen, but I saw the tall, slender Dutch guy, Johansson. I should explain, this picture would resemble the spirit that accompanied me on my drive here today if you remove the beard, the mustache, and add a lot of sun wrinkles, like age from skin aging from the sun. He'd be the same coloring and the same shaped face and everything. So without me having to draw another picture, this would do. Just remove that because he looks the same. And he described himself as someone that has a lot to do with a team, like a coach wouldn't have to do, and he traveled with them a lot. And he's talking in his days, and when I saw him, he was in his 50s.
Yeah, so that's Dr. Adam Enoch Ford. So he was the gentleman who wrote the article in Sporting Life about the first recorded baseball game. But he would have been about 6 or 7 at the time of the baseball game in 1838.
Be so tall, like I can barely touch it. He's higher than that. 4th curl on the curtain, anyways. I mean, he walks quite. He was walking a little bit hunched over, and then when I saw him stretched up, and yet it's the same one, same spirit.
One of the reasons why we're so interested in this first recorded game is because it tells us a bit about how the game was played in the 19th century. And we don't have too many records of the game in Canada prior to that. So we do know, for example, that ball games were being played up and down the coast in North America for many, many years before 1838. There are oral histories that tell us about that. And there are also predecessors to baseball, different types of ball games that were played in England and other parts of Europe before 1838 as well. So the tricky part, of course, is knowing how the game changed and perhaps knowing how certain origins maybe spread off into different styles of sporting games. So for example, we do know that there are some similarities between baseball and cricket, other ball games that were played also in Europe. So dividing those histories, which line up and which ones perhaps branch off into different types of sports is part of what we do at this museum, but also part of what many of the researchers at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame pursue. So it is a bit about looking at not only the games that were played, but also the different rules that were instigated, the different types of equipment and how those morphed over time. Yeah, so this is the kind of bat that would have been used in the 19th century, and you can see that it's got still a lot of the knots that were part of the original piece of wood. It has been torn down a bit to make a smaller handle at the base here, and the top is obviously still quite a bit larger. You can see that it's nothing near the type of later bats like this that are just so nicely created with the wooden lathes. So they're very, very different. The cedar bat is also quite a bit lighter, and again, that makes sense when the ball wasn't quite as dense, so it still worked well. But as the balls became denser, the bats became more solid, and the gloves had to become more padded as well. So they were very much considering how their equipment developed in tandem.
I got the chills again, standing right here at the top. Just goosebumps. And just felt a little bit wobbly, but the floors are kind of at an angle.
The house was built in the mid-19th century by a gentleman by the name of Philander King. That house ultimately became the house was purchased by the Downing family in the 1880s. And the Downing family had come from England, the key sort of patriarch of that family being Thomas Downing Sr. He brought his family here and had a few more children once he landed in Canada. His children, sons, primarily became the people who took over the lime industry. Thomas Downing Sr. was interested in limestone quarrying from the time that he was living in England, and brought his know-how and his knowledge of burning lime and whatnot to Beachville when he came here. Mr. Downing purchased this house. They added a second floor in 1902. The family continued to live in the house until 1969. At that time it was given over to Beachville Lime.
my nose kind of, it's irritated like allergies. And I feel like the breathing is really labored, like I really have to like exert energy to breathe in. Yes. Yeah. It's the whole atmosphere in here is really heavy and anxious, and it's like someone that's waiting for a meeting of someone. They know it has to take place, but they're really not. They're really dreading it, but they're moving forward and through it. It's like it's something dealing with a scenario of a death. So it feels like the flowers have to do with all of that. He's kind of got a suit on, but it's kind of like low key suit. It's not like super high dress up. Or like ready for business, like roll up the sleeves, but yet stay neat and tidy. The Jeremiah, there's a Jeremiah. There's too much male energy in this room, but I can, I'd have to reconnect with the female in the other room. But there's an L, it's like an Elizabeth, Ellie. I feel I need to step out and get some air.
So we're going to do a PvP session here as well right now. See what we pick up with the Frank's clocks also going. So RSP11. If there's any spirits here that do want to communicate with us in this realm, we had a lot of issues with breathing in here earlier tonight. Can you tell us why? What's wrong with that? Probably just running, setting it on the floor. Any spirits in here with us right now that want to communicate with us? Tell us what happened in this room, why it's so heavy. Can somebody communicate with us in this room, please? Why is this room so heavy? Who's here with us in this room? Was this your office? Is it different in here now? Different energies for us? Who was in here before? Who was in this room before when we were here feeling the heaviness? Are you a darker spirit? Anything yet. I thought we'd get more in this one.
Like office hours are over.
I guess the office is closed, yeah. Is the office closed now? Are we too late?
The house originally was lived in mostly by Thomas Sr. and his children and his wife. And they had quite a few children. Thomas Jr. was one of them. John Downing was the second. John was actually the gentleman who mostly took over the lime quarry industry after his father had passed away. There was also a second family, the Bremner family, that was really important in that initiative as well. We have many historians that have come from that family and continue to document the Downing life and history. But it was predominantly Mary Graham who actually lived in this house. As you say, with houses of this age, you know, we have these older buildings that have so many layers in terms of their history, and so many families and tenants and owners that have kind of come and gone. So it is a very layered history that belongs to this house. And there have also been many staff members, many people who've come through the house because we are a public institution, and we do have a lot of visitors. And there are people who are obviously very interested in what kind of paranormal activity there is in the space. So there have been individuals who've documented or recorded toilets flushing unprompted. We have 3 different bathrooms in the museum, but the primary one would be the one upstairs, and there is documentation of the toilet flushing.
I feel like a small little person, child, behind the door there in that room. 5, 6 years old, a female little girl. And this is where the girl that I just saw is. Little spirit. She's just dressed in everyday play clothes, like dark browns and stuff. She's got short hair, very, very short hair, and she wants to play baseball. She likes baseball. The boys are always using all equipment. She gets a chance sometimes.
And then we also have visitors who've been in here in the past and mentioned that they sometimes have seen figures at the top apex of the front of the house. So we do have a bit of a balcony out there off the top floor, and so there is a story about a woman or a figure being out on that porch as well at nighttime hours when nobody should be in the museum. Those are the 2, I suppose, main stories that have been told and circulated and that continue to be present in this space based on people who keep coming back or who've been in the community for a long time. Our board members have heard of these and continue to share them. It's important for me to understand that everybody has different uses for this space, and also to appreciate that some stories are oral histories, and those oral histories have a place in this space as well. And people do come here with various interests. So we like, someone who comes here interested in baseball, that we can convey something to them about baseball, and someone who comes here with an interest in the paranormal, we can convey to them what we have heard or what we might know. But we certainly, there's a lot of things we don't know.
Here that want to communicate Use your energy and come through the white noise and communicate with us. Is John here?
What speed are you using?
35 here, John.
So I usually use 150.
I would say that. Not across the street. Something, you know. Are there any spirits here tonight that want to communicate? Please come through. We're here to talk to you tonight.
Is there a little girl here?
That sounds like yes.
Yep.
Are you coming through to talk to us?
How are ya? Can you see me?
Can you see us in this room?
Sweetie, are you still here?
We want to talk to you in the bathroom.
Yes.
Are you hiding behind the bathroom door?
Do you want me to step out?
Will you talk to us if more people were out here?
The little area with fairy rings and mushrooms and sensing something. It's really cool energy, really nice energy. But I was really wanting to tell you about sensing something under the ground, like a barrier. But it's like, it's not like oppressing or feeling bad. It feels like that an attachment to this spot. Yet something underneath.
That hurt. Like, I don't know what happened, what it was. I just felt like I was shoved out of this area when I was going near what Wanda's calling the fairy circle area with the mushrooms, and I just wasn't allowed in that area or something, and something shoved me back. I could feel it pushing me, and maybe I just didn't go far enough for it, and it just whacked me in the back of the head here. I don't know what happened.
Right, and that's right in front of that little bit of a bush where you were.
Yeah, it's right about here. So.
And earlier today, well, Trevor and I came here, I was sensing I actually saw a little boy playing hide and go seek actually within this area. But it was weird though, because I came here, right? And all of a sudden he asked for Wanda. And also you came in, and that's what happened to you.
Yeah, we didn't want me there.
No,
For some
Wanda
reason.
and I, the energy was off for us. So, gosh.